Counterpart to the Grade 1 Forgo, the Grade 1 Ballerina, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, going 7/8 of a mile on the main track. Let's take a look at the field. Again, only 8 signed on in here. Your post-time favorite coming in from Southern California, Marley's Freedom. She went off at odds of 9-5 for Bob Baffer, and I suppose there were questions about the Great Lady and the race that she was exiting, about how good it was. You had seen the second and third place finishers came back, and they only registered high 70s buyers. Would she be able to handle the ship? X, Y, and Z. No sweat. It's Baffert and Smith in New York. Stop. Stretch run of this year's Ballerina.
Side, Lewis Bay is there, Finley's Lucky Charm, Ivy Bell's coming up the rail, no place to go for Still There, who's behind a wall of horses, Marley's Freedom in front with a furlong to run, Mike Smith lets her loose and she turns it on. Marley's Freedom pouring it on as they come down to the wire. She's gonna win the Ballerina, going away by 3.5 lengths. Still There was...
Marley's Freedom gets the job done over Still There over Lewis Bay. That is your trifecta. If you decided to play it for 50 cents, comes back $54 and some change. Let's take a look at your winner, Marley's Freedom. She is 6 of 12 lifetime, 8 times in the exacta, over $628,000 in career earnings. Owned by Cicero Farms, LLC, trained by Bob Baffer, bred by Jack Swain III in Kentucky. Ridden to victory by Mike Smith, and you can see the pedigree at the bottom of the horse card. She's by Blame out of a formal gold mare named Relaxing Green. 100 buyer, 121 time form U.S. rating for Marley's Freedom, winning this year's Ballerina. Time form U.S. had the half-mile and 3/4 splits, both color-coded blue, meaning it was favoring horses on or near the early lead. A little bit more difficult for horses to make up some ground from the back of the pack. Marley's Freedom, she was kept out in the clear. She was ridden very similarly to the way that City of Light was in the Forgo. And you didn't hear a peep about this ride saying, oh, a terrible ride from Mike Smith. No, you did what you're supposed to do. Keep him out in the clear. If you think that you're on a monster, don't get him in harm's way. Go on with it. That's exactly what he did. These two efforts also, by the way, combined with Catholic Boy's effort, that's what doesn't make me so totally convinced that you needed to be inside. Because if you needed to be inside, Marley's Freedom would have had no chance. City of Light wouldn't have been any closer than where he was. And Catholic Boy, he would have been at a great disadvantage to Mendelssohn, unless you just think that these 3 performances were superior, which is possible. It's not totally out of the realm, but it just makes me look at it and go, how inside favorite could it have been? We'll talk about another race here momentarily that I think initially led people to think that, and myself included. And then I kind of cooled off on that. Marley's Freedom is a very, very talented horse. There's no denying that. And when you look at a division like this, where it just kind of feels like nobody has taken the initiative and nobody is stepping up and putting forward, consistently good efforts. You usually get flyer here, and then all of a sudden, the next race you're going to be the 2-to-1 favorite and you run 7th. There's been very little consistency. Marley's Freedom has been consistent. Now, is she as good as a horse like Selcourt, who, again, if Selcourt were ready to go for John Sadler, perhaps she'd be the boss. But I tell you what, Marley's Freedom, I like that she has tactical ability. I like that she has versatility. She's shown in that Great Lady M that she can sit well off the pace and come with a run. I think she's very, very talented. It sounds like she's going to be pointed to the filly and mare sprint. Whether or not she runs again between now and then, that remains to be seen. Baffert was a little bit non-committal. Marley's Freedom, I think if she shows up there, she obviously is one of the horses to beat. And keep in mind the importance of looking at the difference between a race like the Forgo and a race like the Ballerina. The Forgo is at 7/8 of a mile. Some of those horses will have to run in the sprint at 6 furlongs. Some of them will have to run in the dirt mile at 8 furlongs. The fillies and mares, the 7/8 race, that's what the filly and mare sprint is. So there is a little bit more to be gleaned, I think, from these races, the 7/8 races for the girls as opposed to the boys, because this is what they're going to be doing for the Breeders' Cup. I liked Still There coming into it, and I like her coming out of it. I think she was a little bit unlucky, not by anyone's doing. It was just unfortunate luck for David Cohen that he couldn't find anywhere to really go with her. They turned for home. She's in behind a wall of horses. He thinks about going down to the inside, realizes that's not going to work. And I think he did the right thing at that point, say, we've got to get out here as soon as possible. Unfortunately, we've talked about it in the past. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Doing a little zigzag against a good horse like Marley's Freedom, it's not going to work. The fact that she was able to come on to finish second, her first time really taking on good quality company. And she was kind of coming off of slowish fractions. She's paired up 94 Beyer tops right now. She earned a 116 time form US rating here. I think there's a race for still there, and I think it's going to be a big one. I don't know if they're going to try to point for a race like the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint, or if they're going to look at other spots, other opportunities. I'll tell you what, there's a race for her. She's going to win a big race. We'll find out. I can only hope that they're setting the goal lofty. And just because she was beaten by more than 3 lengths by Marley's Freedom, I think she fits. I think she's right there with some of the better female sprinters that we have right now. And she's so lightly raced. Again, paired up those 94 Beyer tops. That to me usually is a sign that the next start you're going to get a big forward move. I'm just hopeful that Dane Kabisky and company look at things and say, you know what, let's get a little bit ambitious. We took a shot here, far from embarrassed. We were a little unlucky. Who knows, if things go a little bit clearer, you reverse the trips between her and Marley's Freedom, maybe there's a little bit of a different result. Who knows? I think there's a big race for still there. As far as the rest of the girls are concerned, I've said it before. Lewis Bay, when she's one of the favorites, I'm not afraid to take a shot against her. As impressive as she was in the Bed of Roses, I know Lewis Bay. Union Strike, I thought this was a good effort. She probably would appreciate a little bit more pace, and maybe she's one that you want to keep an eye on going forward for maybe a race like the Filly and Mare Sprint or somewhere else, because if you do get a fast pace, she's going to come with a nice bid. Keep in mind, this is really only her second start in, 6, 7, 8 months, so not a bad effort from her. Ivy Bell, admittedly a little bit disappointing in my opinion. Tecalita, don't hold that race against her. She's probably not this good. Same with Karen, or Karen, I don't know how you want to pronounce that. Finley's Lucky Charm. I think I don't know. I'd said coming into it that I didn't think that she was what she was last year now. I felt like she had lost something despite winning that honorable miss with a career best figure of 104, and I thought she was better going shorter. Whether or not that all of those reasons are why she ran as poorly as she did on Saturday, we'll find out. I maintain I think she's better going 6 furlongs. I don't think she's as good as she was as a 4-year-old, now as a 5-year-old, despite having a grade 1 earlier this year and that 104 2 starts back. I just kind of, again, I don't know where you want to go with her at this point. And truth be told, I understand if they took a shot for the Filly and Mare Sprint. I just don't think 7/8 is what she wants to do, despite a good record there. I think she's better at 3/4. We know who likes 7/8 of a mile. That's Marley's Freedom. We know she's in great hands with Baffert and Smith. And we know that she can ship out of town and be successful. She gets the job done in the Grade 1 Ballerina, 100 Beyer, 121 time form US rating, and it sounds like it's on to bigger and better things, the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint at Churchill Downs.